Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's live stream, the MCC live stream. Let me know how are you. First of all, happy Thanksgiving if you're an American friend. I wish I was there with you in the U.S. eating a turkey and celebrating Thanksgiving with you. So happy Thanksgiving to all of you if you're from the U.S. So I guess there's some people here that are not that are here for the first time. Let me know if this is your first MCC live stream, and let me know at the same time where you're from. If this is your first time, anyways, I'm gonna check who's here. Andy is here. That's so cool to see you here, brother. That's awesome. Now everyone can hear me well. Just want to make sure that because the first time we work on like we did this MCC live stream. We went into some major problems, and now it seems to be working fine. And even last week, I ran into a few technical problems with my sound interface, but I managed to fix it for today's stream, which is great. So awesome. Tony is here. Then we have a Slash. Who else is here? We have Chaz that is here. He's actually in the back. He's backstage because I'm going to actually bring him on today. I'm going to bring Chaz on. He's a good friend of mine. We've known each other for almost 2 years now, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, so he's going to join us today. I asked him to jump in, and yeah, so looking forward to it. It's going to be in a few minutes. We have Kevin here, John Robinson. And so who is here from the U.S. that are actually celebrating Thanksgiving or that are watching football? Let me know. I'm actually, I love the NFL. I'm a huge NFL fan. And today, like on Thanksgiving, every year we have 3 NFL games on the Thanksgiving Thursday, which is always great. But I actually forgot about that detail when scheduling the call, so I'm not watching the game at the moment. But it's the Bears against the Lions, so who cares? Hopefully you're not a Bears or a Lions fan. So all right, so let me start this one up. I'm gonna look at what I have as far as the question goes, and I'm gonna have a Chaz to join us. Give me a second here. All right, so we have maybe 3 questions. So we'll check these out. I'm gonna bring Chaz on. Hey, Chaz. All right, now I don't know if you guys can hear him, but I cannot hear him. And that was a last minute thing, okay? So okay, so no one can hear you. Okay, I'm going to check here if there's something I need to do on my end, but I don't think no, it seems to be okay from my end. Interesting. Okay, so listen, because everything here seems to be okay from my part, but I'm gonna continue the stream. Check it out. Check out what you, if you can make it work, or maybe test it on a separate Zoom session. I'm gonna just put you off and come back right after. Thanks. All right, so no one was hearing Chaz. Okay, hey, Joe is here from Germany. That's awesome. So we're a cool little gang here, which is nice. I think we're like 12, 13 people. It's Thanksgiving, so I kind of knew that it was going to be a small turnout. First question I have for you guys. It's Black Friday weekend. You have anything that you're looking on purchasing or that you actually purchased related to the studio world or plugins, gear and stuff, anything interesting, let me know in the chat. Hey, Jesse from Germany, good to see you. We're going to listen to one of your songs today. That's awesome. Yeah, so anything special, let me know. Because, this year, it's funny because I did not have a chance yet to check out the deals and to check what, what is worth getting or buying and stuff, so I need to, I'm going to need to, at some point tomorrow or Saturday, to check if there's anything interesting. Waves is coming out with a new plugin tomorrow. I'm going to release a video on YouTube about this new plugin. It's a free plugin. It's going to be free for the weekend only, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, check it out. It's pretty cool. I cannot say more for the moment. Then anything else we had in the chat this week? I forgot who was it. I don't have the chat in front of me, but I got an email, got a comment about the SSL EV2 from Waves. That's their new channel strip. Not sure if anyone tried it. Let me know if you did. I did try it on a few tracks, and seems to work pretty well. I know that there was a lot of heat on YouTube. There's that one guy that made a video about the SSL, and he was like, not a happy camper. So I don't know if you guys watched that video. I forgot the guy's name. I actually never seen him before, but I had to watch the whole thing. And yeah, so he wasn't happy about the release of that plugin. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a good plugin, especially if you don't have other channel strips and you want to get into mixing with a channel strip. That is actually a good one to work with. Okay, Tony is saying that he found a deal on Smart EQ 3 that was $69. Yeah, that's awesome. I think you posted that on the forum. That is a good deal. I never worked with the Smart EQ 3, heard a lot of good stuff. And this is the type of plugin which is a kind of a algorithmic based EQ / compression, so it does like super nice things, especially if you're working with a vocal or a source that is a bit more problematic, not even. And this is kind of automatically going to fix the problem in a way, depending on the signal you're getting. So it's pretty well done. And most of them uses a kind of a artificial intelligence algorithm or something, Okay, let me try to bring back Chaz. Chaz, do you think that works? All right, so let's try this out. Hey, Chaz. It's not working. Change the in. Still don't get any signal. This is odd. You know what we should have done, Chaz, before is to test it. But that's my fault because, it's my fault. It was a last minute thing. And I said, it's going to work. Of course it will. Okay, one last thing. I just want to check one last thing here if I need to look at some stuff. No, there's nothing on my side that I need to check here. Okay, I'm going to bring you out again, Chaz. Poor Chaz. If you can test it on Zoom, Chaz, that would be great. Even if you need to disconnect from this call, reconnect after. It's the same link anyways. And if it doesn't work, I guess we'll have to try next time. Okay, so Sean is saying, I have one mic right now. There you go. I'm going to bring Sean on. I have one mic right now, so wondering about the Antares Mic Mod Classic Microphone Modeling, but not on sale. Now, I heard about, no, it's not true. I heard about that plugin years ago. Never tried it. Okay, so I cannot tell if this is a good plugin to work with or not. I don't know. It's the only plugin type microphone modeling thing going on that I think are pretty good are the ones from Slate has one. And the other company, I forgot the name. I'm going blank, but I met with these guys at NAMM. And they have also the same system with UAD, but you can get it native also. What they do is they have that one mic. It's a super neutral mic. And this is what they use to model other microphones, which works very well, from what I've heard so far. And that would be, I would say, if this is the goal of getting a microphone and using this type of plugin to get the sound of a Neumann or get the sound of an AKG mic or whatever, I would say maybe get this type of microphone. The one is it VMX or something like that from Slate? Townsend Sphere. Thank you, John. Yeah, Townsend Sphere. That is like, I would actually go towards Townsend. I was very impressed with the sound coming out of these mics. And you can actually, they model different types of microphones, like the library is huge, which is great. So I would say you can try the Interest Mic Mod Classic. I'm not sure I would invest, like put in money on that type of plugin if you don't have a super neutral mic that works with that plugin, in my opinion. Okay. How can we I don't even know how to pronounce your name. I'm going to call you Hey Joe. Not sure if that's correct. Man, sorry about my French. Okay, how can we participate over Zoom? Now, I'm not doing the calls through Zoom because it might be a bit too chaotic if I have like everyone with webcams and stuff. So I want to avoid that. However, if you want to participate and you want to come, you have a question, you want to jump on, I can arrange something. You can actually come here on this call if you want to and you want to ask a question. I can have you on. Let me know, and I can send you a link if you want to join. Make sure you have a microphone that works. But then I'm going to have to make sure that everything works on my end also. Hopefully it's going to work later with Chaz. We'll see. But we can try out. Just send me an email. Just send me an email at chris@mixdownacademy.com so I can just reply you the address. What else do we have here? We have Tony, Chris. Can you say anything about Cubase and are you able to say what they are working on? I don't know much, to be honest with you. I'm not part of the company. I have a good relationship with the team. Actually, just a few people out of the team, like the person who takes care of the media. Very good relationship with her. The person in charge of Cubase development also. Same for hardware development. Very nice people, all from Germany. And honestly, they are very nice and very cool to get in touch with and to communicate with. Love these guys. But I don't have anything. They're, of course, it's a company, and they have their secret stuff going on. So I respect that. Sometimes if I have I might have a heads up on some product that are coming up, but not more than that. But again, I don't have anything to share with you. As far as Cubase goes, we all heard the news about Cubase, like Stangberg getting rid of the key. The blue key, the iLicenser key. Yeah, there you go. Which, in my opinion, is a good thing. I was very happy about that. I know that a lot of people were complaining online when they heard the news, but I think it's positive. I think it's a good thing, and we'll see. We'll see what's gonna come out of it with the new Cubase version that is gonna come probably in the next few months. I don't have any clue about when this one is gonna come out. So this is my take on Stangberg. Very nice people to work with. Then Andy is asking, Chris, what's your best trick method to get a bass guitar to stick out in a mix? Bass guitar, it depends on the recording, of course. If I record a bass, I'm going to start with the recording part because this is a very, very important part. If we're talking about an electric bass, which is probably what you're talking about, Andy produces country music. Can you just, Andy, maybe write down your band's website or something would be very cool. If you guys can go and hear his music. Lately, he's been releasing one single a month, which is crazy. Okay, so it's very cool to see that going. So every single month. Andy releases with his band, which is him and his wife, one song a month, and I respect that big time. So that is super, super cool, Andy. So, okay, I'm going to get back to your question. Bass guitar, I do record the line signal, and if I have an amp, I'm going to record the amp also at the same time, so I have two signals. If I only have to deal with the line, I'm going to prioritize the line for sure. The line signal is going to be the one that will sound, I would say, the best in a way. Maybe more clean without any character compared to an amp signal. When I have both to work with, it's even better. But I would say when it comes to the mixing stage, if you have a good source, I would say to get a good relationship between the kick and the bass, and that is always the big thing here. And this is going to help a lot. Also, to have like all those other instruments out of the way. Okay, so I do high pass a lot of my tracks, not always at the same point, of course. So some tracks are going to be high passed at 50 hertz and some other tracks at 150. So it's going to depend on the tracks. But if I'm dealing with some electric guitars, usually with the bass playing, chances are I'm gonna high pass those a lot, maybe 200 hertz or 80 hertz or so, just so I leave some space and room for the bass to shine. Sometimes I also make some cut. Sometimes I'm gonna have like kind of a build up on frequencies, like at around 140 hertz, which is bass frequency. So I'm always careful when I'm cutting or controlling more of these frequencies with a bass guitar, but it does happen that I need to work this out. And when I need to cut in these frequencies, that clears up the bass a bit more. But I do it with a very super narrow cue, and I'm very specific on the frequency I want to just tame down. Sometimes just a quick dynamic EQ can work also, but usually like a cut is going to do the trick, And I would say a bit of 1K, is going to work well on smaller speakers as far as the bass goes. That would be my like 800 to 1.2K is a very good frequency range to just bring up the bass guitar a bit more up front, especially on small speakers. So that would be my take on it. Okay, Chaz is here. Let's bring Chaz on. We'll see if that's going to work. Fingers crossed.
Bonjour, Chris. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Everyone can hear Chaz?
Is it loud enough?
I think it is. It looks loud enough for me.
Okay.
Let me know, guys, if you can hear Chaz well.
It took some playing around.
That's perfect. So at least you made it. That's awesome. So if it works for you, it's going to work for anyone else that will join in the future. That is very cool. Okay, so now, let's get back to Andy's question, Chaz. If you want to give me your take on this one. You do record a lot of bass guitars and acoustic instruments on your end, so.
Yes, I do. And what was the question again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if you have a visual of the stream, but if you don't, it goes like this. What's your best trick method to get a bass guitar to stick out of the mix?
Okay. One of the things I do, and I'm hearing an echo, so it's driving me crazy. I'm taking the headphones off.
Sure.
The headphones making me nuts. One of the things I like to do is, and I think I caught you as I came in at the end, you said you like to boost like 800, 1500, 2K. So
of course it depends on the source, but it is a range of frequencies that will work well on small speakers.
So one of the things I like to do is I'll split the bass track into if there's a DI track and there's an amp track. I like to split those. So I usually use my DI track to make the low end real solid, and then the amp track or the amp sim track, what I'll do is sometimes I'll even split that, and I'll have one of them that has just a little bit of saturation on it. So
Nice.
what I found making the bass poke out of a mix is if you have one track that you use for character, it's called character. You put some saturation or distortion or something like that on it, and then you can blend it in with the regular amp track or DI track. That works. You bump it. I usually start around 750, 800 and look for a sweet spot in the EQ to bump it up a little bit. And then I'll like double that then I'll bump it up like at twice that. So if I bump it at, let's say 800, then I'll do another little bump around like 1600, just so the natural kind of like so basically that fundamental and the next octave up from it are being impacted. So yeah, I start with getting the bass solid with the DI, get the low end under, let's say 100, 125, all set, and then after that, just start playing with saturation, distortion, EQ. So
something also that can help the bass to sit well in the mix is funny enough, it's a high pass filter at a very low frequency, like 20, 30 hertz max, that can actually just help. It's funny to say, but yeah, it does help. That's a cool technique you have, Chaz.
Thank you.
Okay, let me.
I steal my tricks from the best.
There you go. That's how we do it. Okay, we have. Okay, Jesse's saying that Fab got some Black Friday BLF deals. Okay, I'm ignorant. Who's Fab? Fab.
I think he means Fab Filter.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, they do have some deals going on. Okay, we have. Okay, John is saying we're getting back to the microphone modeling stuff. The Townsend, the system cost about $1,500 and comes with 30 plus models, which is great. It's a very good system. And the cool thing about that, especially if you're recording a lot of vocals, is you have that one mic that can actually sound different. Like you have like a choice of different, I would say, tones of microphones with that one mic only. So it might be a very good investment for a studio. All right. Okay. What else do we have? Chris, I downloaded both mix template from the workshop, but there are no tracks. Show up. No, there's none. It's only a template. Okay, so that is from my free mix template workshop. So basically it's a template, so you need to insert your own tracks into them. It's only a routing template that is just made for you, so you can save time every time you work on a new mix. And in part of this community, you can check on last month session. I had one, not a live stream, but one masterclass was me working on setting up one of my clients' mix using a template. Okay, so you can check how I work that out, and you can do the same using the template that you downloaded from this masterclass. But the goal with this free mix template is for you to build your own. So you base yourself on that routing, like my own routing. But it doesn't mean that everything in there is going to work for your workflow. So you need to adapt. So let's get back to.
I'm reading the comments. I'm sorry.
Yeah, same here.
Yes, I shaved.
Oh, we have Jorge is right here. Jorge, how are you? I don't speak Spanish. Okay, so I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Jorge, is that how you pronounce it? I hope it is. Okay, what else do we have here? I've got help.
Oh, it's Andy.
Okay. yeah, Andy's here.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
Chaz,
I
eh? With your,
shaved.
yeah, Chaz shaved. All right, so let's, you know what? Let's jump on Cubase. Let's listen to a mix. And we're first going to listen to a song from John Costigan. I don't know if John is here. I'm not sure. I don't think I saw him. Oh, yeah, I saw him. Yeah, he's the one talking about the Townsend Sphere, of course. So, John, we have two songs from John. One is called "We Just Want to Be Happy," and the second one is called "Why." Let me know, just to make sure, John. You want me to make a critique on both songs? I'm going to start by the first one, but let me know if the other one is good to go as well. And all right, so let's go right in Cubase. And let me start this one up. Hopefully, it's going to work right away. So have a nice listen.
There was nothing to prove, but there was always some doubt. He finally quit before they counted him out. He just wants to be happy. I believe in love today, or I die right off and blow away. Blow monkey see, blow monkey do.
Awesome. Cool track. Love it. So what struck to me the most, first of all, it's a very interesting song. I like the vibe. It has that 70s progressive type of vibe, Genesis type a bit, which is cool. Okay, what I have to say in general, I think balance-wise between the instruments, everything seems to be okay. Love the bass sound, by the way. Very nice bass sound.
Yeah, great bass.
Pops out very well, full and well defined. Love it. Drums are thin. They sound a bit too like the whole song in general. I would say it sounds a bit too bright and lacks a bit of body. I would say, especially with the drums. And the vocals also, I can hear like sparkling in the vocals, some like sibilance. Is it sibilance? I made a. How do you pronounce it?
In English, I guess it's sibilance.
Sibilance. My goodness. Yeah. I on my last video, was it yesterday's video? I think I talked about sibilance, and I was saying sibillions. And someone was commenting, "Is that how you pronounce it in Canada?" So I don't know. My French took over. I'm sorry. So sibilance.
No worries.
Love it. Okay, I'll remember. So yeah, I can hear that. I can hear sibilance going on the vocals. So and sparkling stuff. So there's something with the top end that is a bit, especially on the vocal. I think. So I would say a lack of body in general, and drums, vocals a bit too bright. What about you, Chaz?
Actually, I was listening to this just like if this was a client who sent me a track for, let's say, mastering or something, or it was a rough mix that somebody wanted me to mix. So I was listening with that perspective. And what I do is I take notes when I'm listening to a song for the first time. And my notes are actually pretty much spot on what you had said. I thought that the intro was really great. Like how he explored the space, sort with the reverb in that intro, and then when that big drop happened, it was just a nice moment. There was it was a good like songwriting moment. Good like storytelling. So that was really cool. I did hear that high end stuff you were talking about, and I wasn't sure if it was just my MDR 7506s, which are kind of bright and sparkly, or if it was in the track, but I heard it. And what I would say about that is I know in more modern music, there's a tendency, compared to, let's say, like the 70s or 80s or 90s, there's a tendency to push that high end on vocals and make them really, really crisp. So something that you might want to try is you could try like a very gentle low shelf on that vocal, like a low high shelf. Another thing that can tame the high end a little bit without doing too much EQ is put it through a tape plugin. Sometimes just putting something through a tape emulation plugin will take some of that harshness out. And the other thing that could work too is you could just possibly bring that down somewhat in the entire mix, because that lead vocal was pretty loud. So those are all ideas to try. As far as the entire mix sounding kind of on the thin side, which Chris had mentioned, my first thought, like when I'm asking people about stuff, is like, what headphones are you using? What's your room environment like? Because if your songs are consistently coming out that way, then it's not you, it's probably what you're hearing. So you need to be able to trust your listening environment, your headphones, your speakers in room. You need to be able to trust them to make those right choices. But I didn't think that, the mix had kind of like an album mix feel as far as that thinness goes, where like old vinyl didn't have
for sure.
Didn't have that huge low end. So it reminded me of like listening to an old like prog rock album from the 70s or early 80s. When you put that vinyl down and listen to it, it was always thin sounding, and you had to turn your bass up on your stereo back in the day.
Exactly.
Right? So it had a classic kind of feel that way. So I don't know if that was intended or not, but
if it's intentional, that's
it's fine.
That might work.
Yep.
But yeah, for the brightness on the vocal, yeah, of course, it's like I totally agree with what you said, Chaz. I would say because I just have a feeling that maybe he was a bit boosted on his end, during the mixing stage. Yeah. Maybe a bit too much of boosting on the vocals, and because I do love to boost high frequencies when it comes to a vocal.
Yep.
Like in yesterday's video, I shared that, and this is something that I like to do to bring a bit more sparkle and some air to the vocals. However, it's always a matter of balance. Always a matter of if you add too much, this is where it's gonna turn out a bit too crispy. And something else that can help also when boosting in the high and the top end is to, and you mentioned that also, but it's to add a low pass filter, but like a very tight slope, but just like, so you don't go over 22K or 20K max, but you still boost above 15 or 16K, but you control that super high end also. And maybe there, if your vocal is bright, as far as the source goes, it was recorded that way. Everything you mentioned, Chaz, works very well, for sure. All right, so I hope that helps, my friend John. I tend to overdo. Okay, John is commenting. Yeah, John, if you have any comments, if you have anything to add, go ahead. I tend to overdo low end, so this is great advice. Awesome. All right, give me a second here. Okay, next we have again. Okay, John is same. Well thought. Our comments very valuable to me. Room is a Bobby Owinski design with a zero reflection zone.
Wow,
that's awesome. That's cool. Where are you located again, John? I forgot. Let me know. Okay, we'll go for the next one, the next song, again by John. This one is called Why.
The icing on the cake came the day I saw him convicted.
There was some cool stuff in there.
Man, lots of ear candy.
I really like the part where you hear that classic guitar, acoustic guitar going on.
Yep.
Classical guitar was very cool. It was like pan to the right, and I kind of like that stereo image going on, And I love when we have more of a, like there's stereo elements in a mix, where you have stuff on the right, stuff on the left, and to kind of enlarge the stereo field. I think a lot of people are afraid of that when mixing, just because of mono compatibility, and they're all scared about that, seeing a bunch of YouTube videos about your mix needs to sound good in mono and stuff, so they just don't pan stuff enough. But you did a good job there. Yeah, and like, I'm going to say this, not totally the same as the other song. If I compare both, I think this one gets closer to what I like as far as the tone goes. Still on the, maybe not on the bright side, I would say maybe a lack of body a bit, but it's hard with these type, like these were programmed drums, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, John. And yeah, and sometimes they tend to, like, for my taste anyways, those drums usually tend to lack body. Some sample libraries anyways, they tend to lack body, or sometimes the mix of the rooms are a bit too loud and not well balanced, with the close miking samples. So something to check, but balance wise, in this one, I thought the bass was a bit more, more back in the mix compared to the first one. But overall, it's a good mix. But yeah, it's same thing with the top end, especially on the vocals, but less noticeable here than the first one.
Yep. Yeah, that's the same thing I thought too. It was definitely a lot closer than the last one. On this one, the vocals, you could probably get away with just a de-esser on the vocals. It might bring them in line. They were pretty upfront in the mix, and if that's the artistic intention, that's totally fine. I just consider maybe some a de-esser or a dynamic EQ if you're using like FabFilter Pro Q3. Start looking in that 3K to 7K range. It's probably going to be 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there, and just have a little dynamic EQ or de-essing going on. That might help.
And if you use Cubase, you can use Frequency 2 that has a dynamic EQ stuck in Cubase.
Yes.
Eat that, Pro Tools.
Yeah, right. So anyway, yeah, the drum thing that you brought up with the drum samples and all that, I kind of thought the same thing too, that I could definitely hear it more toward the beginning of the song on the cymbal. I think it was on a ride cymbal or something. You could just tell they were programmed drums. So programmed drums are fine. And the only suggestion I would have would be to perhaps, if your drum samples, if you can pick slightly different samples, or if there's an option for using like round robin samples, like those ride hits don't all sound like exactly the same, right? So but yeah, the other thing as far as that fullness that Chris was talking about, what you might want to consider is when you're kind of thinking about how a song, how the pieces are going to fit, think about which instruments are occupying which space of the spectrum, of the sound spectrum. So maybe you have kick, then bass guitar, then you'd have maybe some low end on your 6-string guitars or keyboards, but like find frequencies that all the instruments can kind of shine in. And that way you can kind of find a balance where the character of each instrument is popping out. And they're not really fighting with each other. And if you do that for that low mid-range and low end frequency, I think it'll make the mixes sound like more full, which is kind of going back to Chris's point about thinking, he thought it was maybe a little thin or something. So I consider that, but I'll tell you, there's a ton of ear candy in this, in these last two songs. There's a lot of really good work, a lot of good ear candy.
Nice surprises.
Yeah, lots of surprises, both with the song and the arrangement and the little tempo changes and all that, but just the different, like, and just the fact that these two mixes have great space to them. And the thing about mixing for mono, it's like, I've always like take that with a grain of salt, because you're not checking your Dolby Atmos mixes in mono, right?
Yeah, that's another beast that's going to come later on.
Right. So yeah, so it's like the stereo spread of these songs is great. So, I would just wonder if you're doing any kind of if you're doing any mid-side processing on your mix bus, because I know a lot of people do this trick where they will do a high pass or a low cut filter around 100 or 150 on the sides, just to make the image sound more centered on the low end. So if you're doing something like that and you're doing it too high, that can make your mixes sound really thin too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So maybe if you are trying that, back it down to maybe 60 hertz or 80 hertz or something. But yeah, man, cool song, really cool song.
I'm going to add something regarding the program drums. Okay, so this is something I do because it does happen when there's that one client of mine. He's a friend, and when he sends me songs to mix, he always produces songs with program drums. So don't ask me why, but this is what he likes to do, and they're all super quantized and so on and so forth, which I'm not a big fan of. But I still managed to make them interesting in the mix. Now, there's stuff I'm not going to touch in that case. Where is the timing of the program drums? What he sends me are audio. It's all bounced in audio, so I'm not getting any MIDI notes and stuff to work on my end. So he has a sound, bounced everything in audio. I get the tracks like I would if it was an acoustic drums. And this is exactly how I'm going to work and mix them. I'm going to treat them as if they were an acoustic drum recording. So they're going to go through my chain of like my mix template and stuff, like the same type of routing. If I need to add a sample, I'm going to add a sample on top of what I already have, so on and so forth. This is what I'm going to do, So I'm not going to stay slave to the sound unless it's specified by the client. And I can actually manage to bring like a kind of regular sounded program drum sound to end up sound pretty fat and modern, So, and I'm actually I think I'm gonna make on one of the next videos on this community, or maybe on YouTube, I'll check. But I can actually bring out one of that session, and I'm actually this month I'm starting a mix, and this is gonna come up in this community also. That client actually sent me a Cubase session for me to mix. It's a Christmas medley with program drums and everything. So that could be a good opportunity to show you what I'm going to do on this song, and
that'll be cool.
My drum mixing program drums techniques, and even how I implement my template in a session that is a Cubase session, okay, without having the individual tracks like separately, So it's a different approach when I import my template in this type of session. So anyways, I'm going to take note of that and maybe make a video on for this community if you guys want to. Anyways, okay, let me check here. What else do we have as far as the comment goes? So John replied, "Thank you for your help. All virtual instruments and not guitar, of course. Some Roland 505 samples on drums, 14-bit, and I'll take all this advice. Thank you." And what else do we have?
Yeah, John's doing some good work, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay, that's not a related question, but there is a Wavelab included in Cubase, in the Cubase pack. Shall we use it for final mixes? Is it too complicated to dig into that app? Never tried it before. Many pros recommend it on the Steinberg community. Okay, Wavelab it's made for mastering. Okay, this is literally designed for mastering your music. I don't use it a lot, to be honest. I did use it, especially when creating DDP montage for clients. Clients after a mastering, they send me the file, and I just go into Wavelab, import all the songs, and create a DDP4 CD duplication, which I actually don't do much anymore, but I used to do that all the time years ago. So this is when I was using Wavelab to do so. As far as mastering goes, I need to dig in Wavelab a bit more. I did one mastering, I think, in Wavelab, but from what I can see, it seemed just a bit too complicated. But my friend Ian Shepard, amazing mastering engineer, works with Wavelab. So he's a Wavelab maniac, and he does all of his mastering work using Wavelab. So from what I know, if you're a mastering engineer, it's kind of one of the perfect platform where you can master your music on. So I don't think you need to incorporate Wavelab in the mix to answer your question. Okay, we have Indiana Bones. Love that name.
007.
I know how hard it is to get that low sound just right, but overall, it was an amazing track. Love your playing, vibe, etc. It would be great to hear this after the advice you get. Yeah, so feel free to send a revision mix later on. Then we have John saying that the Spectra Digital released a course about drum programming by Henning Pauli this year. Maybe this could help. Yeah, and you can also start by, I don't know if you watched the this week's masterclass that I posted. It's actually on drum programming, especially if you want to replace real drums like you were actually doing here. So you could start by watching this video. Then definitely, man, if you have like a course that goes way more in depth, I would suggest you to try it out. Because it's programming drums, especially when you're trying to replace a real acoustic drum, is tricky. It's like an orchestra, trying to program an orchestra. There's tools like I made a video a couple of weeks ago on my YouTube channel with the East-West orchestrator that is a good start. You can actually look into all the MIDI mockup and learn from that. And same goes for real drums. There's a lot of virtual instruments like drum VSTIs that will give you access to some pre-recorded drum grooves that you can just drag and drop into your Cubase session or your any DAW session, and they're actually not perfect. They are made. Usually what they do, they get like studio session players to record those drums, like those grooves, and they just create MIDI. Usually this is what they do, they create MIDI notes, if I'm not mistaken, out of that performance and tweak that around manually. And you get that real feel of a drummer, and you can actually check what they do and maybe copy a few notes and a few grooves and create your own. So that is a good way to check, So check it out. I actually talk about that into this month's masterclass. All right, so now next we have Jesse Cole. Jesse is here with us. Let's have a listen to his song. This one is called Just Another Soldier. Oh, you know what? Before we listen to this one, I'm just going to read what he sent me. Okay, let me bring that up. He said, wrote this song last year after a comment of a politician here in Germany about a soldier who died in Afghanistan. He said, it's just another soldier. This inspired me to write this one. First, I recorded all the instruments via Spire from Isotope. Yeah, let's talk about that later. And then let me get back here. First, it was vocals, 2 acoustic guitars, bass, electric guitar, and snare, played with brushes. Then, later I transferred all tracks into Cubase and played the cello and a synth to bring in some more atmosphere. I also played an acoustic drum like Nashville tune to get some sparkle, I think. I think that's what you're referring to. But anyways, let's have a listen to Jesse's song and check what we have.
God only knows why I'm still alive, and the devil let some souls survive. I am one out of 10. My brothers and my sisters died in Afghanistan. And life gave us all an equal chance to be a friend, a man, a father, a son. Will be none of that anymore. Never saw myself as some kind of hero. And even if I've been through hell, I made it home. The real heroes lost their life there in the desert, and my country don't give a damn at all. It's just another soldier falling. Falling. Or no one's left behind. A code of conduct we all know, not shown by our leaders. They don't have a clue. And no matter how you die, battlefield or home, the sacrifice we gave is nothing worth at all. And I never saw myself as some kind of hero. And even if I've been through hell and made it home, the real heroes lost their life there in the desert. Country don't give a damn at all. It's just another soldier falling. A soldier falling.
Very good song. Love it, Jesse. Good job. Very good work. Yeah, and the topic also, it's you can feel what you're singing, so it goes well with the writing. So that's awesome. In general, what I would say, it sounds a bit high mid. I would like. A good song to listen to, or maybe a good album to listen to, is, I don't know if you know Ray LaMontagne, folk artist, very good, like an awesome artist. And that song made me think of one of his songs, actually, and I would say go listen to. Okay, I have a song that. More specifically, you can go and listen to Ray LaMontagne, the song Empty. If I'm not mistaken, that is from the album Till the Sun Turns Black. You need to listen to that album. If you love this type of vibe, this is an awesome album to listen to. I don't know if anyone knows that album, but you need to go and listen to this album. Again, Ray LaMontagne, Till the Sun Turns Black. Let me show you. That's the one right here. And listen to the tone of this album in general. It's a bit more dark. And especially, in relation to what you're singing, I would bring that song a bit more dark in general. Again, it's the same thing with the other songs, lack of body in the instruments, in the whole mix. I would say the vocal also is a bit piercing. It sounds good though. The performance is very good, and it does has that Johnny Cash vibe that I like. But yeah, I would say maybe a bit too much high mids, highs also. I don't know. There's a lack of bottom, and low mids and stuff. It's a bit empty at this in this range for my taste, anyways. What do you think, Chaz?
So is Jesse in Germany? Did I get that right? The Jesse Cole's in Germany,
I
Deutschland?
think he is.
Because man, he sounds like he was writing a song from like a coal mining town in like Virginia. No. But I mean, it's a very
Yeah.
American sounding
It,
song.
it does. It does sound very American.
The
You're right.
accent and the instrument choices and all that stuff with the brushes and washboards and just the stringed instrument things. It sounds like it was written in like, out in the country somewhere in Virginia or Tennessee or something like that. So it's really cool. My points that I had written down are pretty much the same as yours. I thought, maybe the vocal is a little hot. It could come down. I think that the kind of Johnny Cash, and I got Johnny Cash and a bit of like Cohen too.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of vocal thing is really, really cool. I thought maybe just because of what the song's talking about, maybe a little darker would be an interesting thing to explore. So bring that lead vocal down, maybe make it a little darker so it's a little bit more somber in a way. So it's like more of a, I mean, again, this is about artistic intent. So if you want the song to like be right there in your face, like so the person who's hearing it is kind of getting like, hey, wake up. That's one kind of effect, right? That's one emotional impact. But if you want it to be more like this retrospective kind of warm blanket kind of sound, where it's like you're talking about this person's life and you just want this caring, soothing kind of feeling that's, wrapping them up in the song, like a nice warm blanket in wintertime by a campfire, then maybe make it a bit darker and smokier, right?
We need a bit more intimacy,
Yeah. So it really depends on the intent, but that, I would never know that was somebody in Germany. It sounds pretty American. Even that accent was pretty damn good. So it's a really good song. I mean, there's a lot of, actually all three songs so far. I'm really stoked that they're not all mono, that everybody's been willing to explore the stereo, space, right? So the sound field on all three of these songs has been great. But yeah, man, nice work. Yeah.
Okay, let me check something here. Okay, I received another song here.
I'm getting a drink.
But, yeah, sure. Okay, let me check what Andy has to say. Vocal was only too upfront in a few places. I love the character of the voice, so you may need to just use some automation to fix the vocal when it jumps out.
Yep.
Automation is great in the mix. It doesn't matter if you're mixing a singer-songwriter song or a full pop with a bunch of tracks. Automation can work well in any situation. So I think that's our best advice, Jesse, for this one. A bit more intimacy, bring up the low mids. All right, so what else do we have? Let me check here if for the next one. This one is okay. I got this one. I think this one comes from.
Jesse.
I'm trying to find his. John Robinson. There you go. Is John around? I think I saw John earlier, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure, but if you're here, John, let us know. Okay, and who else? Okay, by the way, Suzanne, you're here. Suzanne Sorrell is here. She's from Australia, if I'm not mistaken. And you sent me your mix, but lifeboats, if I'm not mistaken, but I didn't receive the we transfer yet. Okay, so if you can try that again, that would be great because I didn't get it so far. All right, so John is here. So John sent me a live recording this time. This is a bit different. So let's check what we have. He says, "Hi, Chris. This is a track. It's a cover. I recorded live of our band with one take at a practice session. It was recorded on a Zoom R16 digital recorder, 2 drum mics, lead guitar through mics amp, the bass DI, acoustic, and vocal through the inserts from the Behringer mixer. So this is what we have. So now, put that into consideration. This comes from, it's a band practice, a recording out of a band practice, one take. Let's have a listen.
Wake up, mama, and turn your lamp down low. I said, wake up, mama, and turn your lamp down low. You got no love, baby, to turn up your jump from the door. I woke up this morning, I had them Statesbury blues. I said I woke up this morning, had them Statesbury blues. I looked over in the corner, and Grandma seemed to have them too. Oh, Mama died and left me, and Papa died and left me. Ain't good looking, baby, but I'm sweet and kind. I'm going up the country, baby, do you wanna go? You can't make it, baby. Your sister says she gonna go. Well, I love that woman, and better than anyone I've ever seen. I said I love that woman, better than anyone I've ever seen. But she treated me like a king, I treat her like she's a queen. Mama says she got him, Papa says he got him, sister says she got him, everybody got him. I'm going up the country, baby, do you wanna go? If you ain't going, baby, your sister says she gonna go. I said, wake up, mama, and turn your lamp down low. I said, wake up, mama, and turn your lamp down low. You got no love, baby, to turn up your jump through your door. You got no love, baby, to turn up your jump through your door.
Oh, that's love the ending.
So Jesse, I have a few. Jesse, not Jesse. John, I have a few questions for you. So, what is your your goal with this recording? Because this is a practice that you recorded with your band. So, was the intention to release this song as a single or something, or just messing around and recording a practice or trying some stuff up, experimenting and stuff? Yeah, so just clear us up on this, because my comments are going to be different depending on what are your intent with this song, with this recording. And second question, the Zoom, what is it? The Zoom R16. So I don't know that recording device. So from what I know, it's a 16 track recorder. So if that's the case, everything was recorded separately, so you had access to all tracks all together. So yeah, so those are my questions for now. Yeah, because this is it's a live recording. Like for me, it's a live band practice recording, not necessarily a production that is ready to be released. So that's why I was asking about your intention with this song. But it has a cool vibe though.
It's rock and roll. Come on.
It's rock and roll, man. For sure.
I love me some old rock and roll, so
definitely. So yeah, let us know, John. Let me know what and then I don't know if what about you, Chaz? If you want to start this one.
Actually, my first thought was the same as yours.
Oh,
what is the intention of the song?
So we have John here. Yeah, the intention was to practice mixing as yeah, perfect. Very new. Okay, I'm very new to it. And the second, I sent it for comments.
Yep.
Okay, cool. That's fair enough. Awesome. Do you have access to all the tracks separately? Like you record the drums with two mics, so you have like those two tracks?
The drums sounded like electronic drums. I didn't think it was a live acoustic drum set, but I could be wrong. It sounded like those, pad drums that you play.
Oh, okay.
That's what it sounded like, but it could just be like how it was mixed. But I thought they sounded kind of like the electronic drums.
I did not notice.
What it reminded me.
Yes, okay, you have access to all the 16 tracks. Okay, cool. So that's good. So it was a band practice, so of course you're gonna need to deal with bleed. Okay, so you're probably hearing the band in your vocal mic, and from it sounds like you probably, you should, if you didn't do that, but you need to, in the live situation, using a dynamic microphone for a vocal is going to work better, and I think you probably did that because it sounded like a dynamic mic. So which is good. And then it's live mixing is hard. It's not the easiest way to learn about mixing.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking the same thing. It's like, man, that's like jumping into the fire. Like mixing live is really it's difficult compared to mixing like separate tracks that have separation and no bleed.
Especially, it sounds like it's in a small room also, it's a practice room, probably you guys were playing close to each other, so that doesn't help also as far as the bleed goes.
Yeah.
So it's always a challenge.
Yep. So as you're going through this process of mixing these tracks and experimenting, what you recorded at your live practice, do not get discouraged, because you're actually in some ways making it harder on yourself by trying to mix something live, right, than like tracks that have the separation and don't have bleed. So yeah, don't get discouraged. But if you have access to all those tracks from the Zoom R16,
I think he says that it has 8 inputs.
Okay, it has 8. Okay. So my next question is, are you trying to do the mix on the Zoom itself, or are you exporting those tracks from the Zoom into Cubase or Pro Tools or Reaper?
Good question, yeah.
because your ability to mix on some of those hardware units is not going to be as great as it is, or not as easy, I should say, as it is in Cubase or Reaper or Logic or Pro Tools or something like that. So,
And also, I have a question from Jesse. What mic you use on the drums? So John says mixing in Cubase. So you transferred everything in Cubase. Okay. So good news, okay? Because I know it's hard to mix this type of recording. Like we said earlier, I'm going to make available for you, and I spoke to the artist before confirming that, but the project I've made, the mix prep on, the video I made on the mix prep a few weeks ago, Josh Gilbert is a friend of mine. That's a song I'm mixing for him. I'm going to have the tracks available for you to mix. Okay, so you guys can download those tracks. It's going to be available next week. I'll send you guys an email, download those tracks. And maybe if you guys want to mix that song and we can listen to it on live call, it would be also cool to have like different versions, different mix perspective out of the same song, the same recording. So I'm going to make that available to you guys. And also I'm going to make a video because I'm done mixing that song. Only have minor tweaks to do with the client, but that's it. So I'm going to actually make a video on my process, my mixing process, kind of a workthrough of the whole mix. It's going to come in December. Cool. All right. So then, that's our take on that, John. It's not an easy song to mix, not an easy song, but an easy recording to mix with that situation. So don't be discouraged with that, because it's hard. So that's why I want to make tracks available for you guys to download, so you have access to some good tracks, to mix with. And that recording that I'm going to have you mix, it's not like a super it's a decent recording. It's like a normal recording that most people out of a home studio can manage to get, all right. So then, I just want to come back one step though, and on Jesse's song, there was something I wanted to check briefly, if you guys don't mind. Jesse, I'm pretty sure you won't mind. Let me just go back here just quickly in Cubase, just for a second here. It was near the end.
Sacrifice we gave is nothing worth at all, and I never saw myself as some kind of hero. And even if
it's a tiny detail, okay, but the groove, the brushes, like the groove that the brushes doesn't seem to fit your guitar playing. Okay, so you have the guitar playing that is playing like kind of a straight rhythmic, and you have the brushes, from what I can hear, that is playing a bit more of a swing feel, and it sounds a bit odd to me. I don't know if you can hear it.
Sacrifice we gave is nothing worth at all, and I never saw myself as some kind of hero. And even if I've been through hell,
it's a very tiny thing, but I'm a drummer. I don't know if you know what I mean, Chaz, but
yeah, actually, you know what? That's something that if I was producing this song or it was a client in the studio, I would have them try a couple different things, maybe.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? Because if you like that drum groove with the brushes and how the bass drum's working and all that stuff, then maybe try a little different rhythm on the acoustics, just to kind of give it more of that shuffle or a swing or something.
Exactly, yeah.
Right. So maybe just experiment back and forth and see which one works better. So maybe a straight beat with the existing acoustic works. Maybe the kind of swing thing, just switch the acoustics and give them more of a, just give them more of like a vibe. So, yep.
And you get that shuffle feel out of the snare, like the brushes when you do that kind of feel,
Yeah.
That is kind of the shuffle thing and this is not what you're playing.
Yeah.
Necessarily so might be an artistic choice also, might be intentional.
Yep.
That was my take. Then we have, John, very instructive and positive encouragement. Thank you, Chaz and Chris. And let me check here. I think all right, then what else do we have? I don't know if Suzanne is still here. Let me know if you are, but I didn't get your track yet. Let me check on my other email. Maybe it's there, maybe not. It's not, so maybe I guess we're going to have to listen to this one next time. We have one last one to listen to. Let me just download this one first. Give me a second here. Hey, Chaz, while I'm doing this, talk about your last week's session.
Wow. Okay.
At the Goo Goo Doll Studio, something like that.
Yeah. It's called GCR Audio in Buffalo. It's owned by the bass player of the Goo Goo Dolls.
Okay.
It's been a studio. Actually, it used to be owned by the whole band. Then the bass player bought it off the rest of the band. So it's been a studio since like 1976. It used to be called Trackmaster Studio in Buffalo. It was designed by John Storick, who designed Electric Lady for Jimi Hendrix. So he did the original studio. Oh, I hear tunes. Oh, that's good. So, yeah, it's a world-class room. It was originally designed by John Storick in 76, and then he came in about 10, 15 years ago and updated it. So
cool.
I had a session in with kind of a folk rock thing. It was kind of like the Velvet Underground in a way, style music. So it was, I don't even know where to start. I don't want to cut into your thing too much, but it was a great session with live drummer, live bass player, bunch of 2 guitar amps off in a separate room, and a vocalist who had a very similar he had like a Lou Reed, Johnny Cash kind of thing going on too. So it was kind of interesting, but we recorded everything strangely enough through an SSL console. I've got the raw tracks, and I think we got to do a female vocal, some overdubs, and then get to some, mix and master stage. So
cool. Happy it went well.
Yeah, and actually that drummer played with brushes too. she had a brush thing going on, and kind of very jazzy. It was really, really cool. So it was really, really cool.
So Jesse's leaving. Take care, Jesse.
Hey, Jesse.
Thanks
take care
for showing up.
Yeah, thanks
Good
for
song
sharing
again,
this.
man. All right, so now next song is from Ivor, Indiana Bones, 007.
That's such a great name.
Every flame can start a fire, and every heart can feel desire. In a world of lies, we all need some proof, and every dreamer needs to hear the truth. And every lover needs to be loved. Every fighter needs to know when I've had enough. And every child knows how to pretend. Every new beginning needs a perfect end. And I'm here, I'm at the start of it all. And the root is where we start to grow tall. And if I make my foundations strong enough, I can never fall. And every smile can hide some pain. Every tear can fall like rain. And every feeling we can't understand. Everyone sometimes needs a helping hand. And I'm here, I'm at the start of it all. And the root is where we start to grow tall. And if I make my foundations strong enough, I can never fall. You can never fall. And I remember being lost, but you found me. 'Cause you were the light that surrounds me, and you taught me that every mountain can be climbed, and everyone can cross through space and time. And every blow of the wind can bring a little change, and everything at first can feel a little strange. And we're here, we're at the start of it all. And the root is where we start to grow tall. And if we make our foundations strong enough, we can never fall. We can never fall. We can never, 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 never fall. We can never, 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 never fall. And we're here, we're at the start of it all. And the root is where we start to grow tall. And if we make our foundations strong and deep enough, we can never fall. We can never fall. Never, 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 never. We can never, 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 never. We can never fall. Every flame can start a fire.
All right, just unmuted myself. Cool track, man. Love it. Has a very nice vibe. Yeah, sounds pretty good. I would say what strikes to me the most. But first of all, on an arrangement standpoint, I would actually make the song shorter. If I was arranging and producing the song, I would definitely make that a bit shorter. As far as the sound goes, Superior Drummer, that was the drum virtual instrument he was using. They sound good. They actually sound pretty good. Love the snare sound. There's something with the kick that is a bit overwhelming on the low end part. Maybe it's activating the stereo bus compressor or something, but there is a compressor that doesn't like that kick drum somewhere. So there's something going on. I'm not sure if that's the stereo bus compressor that doesn't have a side chain filter or something, but there's something going on there, that there's a compressor that is reacting to that low end of the kick. From what I can hear, vocals right off the bat, especially on the first part, you can actually hear it's like super compressed, and I can hear all the cuts there's no life on that vocal sound, not on the performance. I'm pretty sure like the performance sounds pretty good. It sounds like a good performance, but it's like there's a lot of compression going on. And it adds a kind of a saturated sound at the same time that I'm not sure if that is intentional or not, but we can hear the cuts, let me bring that back here at the beginning. Love the guitar sound, by the way.
Yeah.
Can start a fire. And every heart
there's that editing stuff going on, so you can hear the cuts right away.
can start a fire. And every heart.
And you can hear that compression. All the background noise is actually up front with the with the vocal, and that editing stuff that needs to be worked out. Also, the vocal sounds high mid. That could be the cut of the compressor also, since there's a lot of compression going on. That could be it, but there's something that is not. I don't feel like the vocal sits well with the rest of the mix as far as the tone goes. Sounds a bit too high mid compared to the rest of the song. And there's a cool effect though at the beginning with the kind of ping pong delay going on.
We all need some proof. And every dreamer needs to hear the truth.
Yeah. That's cool. I would bring it down though. Would make it a bit more subtle. But it's cool, And there's that sound also. I don't know if that is due to the compression, but there's that reverb also. The reverb is fine. Okay, the reverb is fine, but at some point there's kind of a weird sound out of. I'm not sure if it's the verb or something else.
Can feel desire in a world of lies. We all need some proof.
Like a spring reverb or something. I don't know. There's kind of a spring sound. That struck to me, when I first heard it. So okay, that's basically what I have. But it's a good song, very good vibe. Performance is good. Yeah, I think it's pretty good overall.
Yep, I'm with you, Chris. I think that the song, if I was working in the studio with this and producing it, I'd probably try to look for ways to shorten the song too. And that intro, like there's so many, the song's really good. It's really catchy, and there are so many opportunities to kind of arrange this thing in a way to really just make it jump out. So, that whole intro section, you could probably see me shaking on the camera, but like I was waiting for the song to just drop and just this monster drum thing to come in, and it kicks into the first verse. And then the vocals came in, but there were no drums. I'm like, oh, you tricked me. That's kind of cool. But there's all these opportunities to like that intro was so long that maybe that could be shortened. But man, there is a lot of cool partway through the song. These like two rhythm parts came in that reminded me of Will Sargent, who was or is the guitar player for Echo and the Bunnymen. And I am a huge like Echo and the Bunnymen fan. And there's just like all these wonderful sounds. And again, congratulations for not being explored or not being scared to explore the stereo space, because there's a lot of cool stuff there. On the vocals, I wrote some notes down as listening. I considered using a de-esser. Also, when you're sending your vocal into reverbs or delays, if you're not using it as insert on tracks and you're sending it, put a de-esser before the reverb or the echo, so that spring sound Chris was talking about, you get that artifact of like that boingy, springy noise. You can make that go away if you send from your vocal to a separate track that has a de-esser in front of the reverb or echo, and all those boingy artifacts just
are gonna go away.
Just go away. So
even a high pass and low pass filter.
Yep,
just before it can work well also.
Which is like the Abbey Road trick.
Exactly.
Yep, the Abbey Road reverb trick. So what else did I have? I think pretty much the same thing that Chris had. Oh yeah, the vocal edits. I did have a question. I'm curious. It's where it's really noticeable in the start where you can hear the edit on the vocals. Is that like a hard noise gate, or did you manually go in and do that? And if you are doing vocal edits, right, you might want to do the edits before you apply all the like compression and saturation and harmonic stuff to it, because what happens is it was very noticeable where you made that cut, it was not like a gentle fade, and you could hear all the artifacts of the compression and that kind of high end just stop. So it was like vocal and it would stop. If you cut the vocals and make the vocals clean before you put the effects on them, you're not going to get as much of that. But if you're doing the vocal edit after you've already rendered or printed all the effects on the track, you're going to get those harsh kind of like cuts and edits. That's about the best advice I have there.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So we have Andy who's saying, on my speakers, the low end of the kick was too loud in general. That might be what the compressor is fighting with. We talked about that earlier. That's yeah, same here. Commenting back, I didn't really have my red around compression. What I done when I done this track, I have since got Fab Filter compressor and tend only to use that now. The Fab Filter compressor is a great compressor.
Yeah.
It's you have everything you need. You have all styles of compressors within one plugin. You want opto, you have opto. You want to have a kind of the distressor-like compressor, you have it. It's there. A more straight up, like a straight stuck plugin-like compressor, you have it. It's there. So you have pretty much everything you need. Limiting type compression, you have it. So it's a great plugin. And then we have also replaying. I always thin like an album track. I know I need to edit it shorter.
Yeah. It's a really good song. I mean,
it is a very good song.
It so reminded me of like old Echo and the Bunnymen, or like that early 80s post-punk kind of thing, early to mid 80s post-punk. It was catchy, kind of like The Cure and Echo and the Bunnymen, and it just had that kind of, that feel. And that song's got a lot of opportunity to just like jump and pop. So it's really, really nice.
And don't be saying, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm reading what you wrote on the screen here. Don't beat yourself up on those edits, because like we're all still learning, right? I mean, Al Schmidt, who we just lost not too long ago, he was still trying different microphones, up into his 90s. He had started using those Audio Technicas on drum overheads that he had never used before. But you're always learning. So don't beat yourself up.
I only tend to use FabFilter plugins now. I had bought too much, and now I'm only using what I feel I need, which is always a good thing.
Yeah.
If you work with the tools you'll get better result, in my opinion. I just want to get briefly to one of the questions that was asked by John, actually John Costigan, which we've heard some of his mixes. He wrote also a question, and it goes like this: when I had a friend who is an experienced mix engineer, mixed the songs I sent you. So it's not him mixing the songs, but it was a friend of his. He used my M Audio BX8 monitors. He insisted on adding in my stereo 1/3 octave Ashley EQ to give my speakers more brightness. My question is, should I buy... So I'm going to say that again. My question is, should I buy a pair of Adam THV monitors with ribbon tweeters, or should I have just brightening my mix on the songs? What do you think? Okay, first of all, we actually thought the songs were too bright, if I remember correctly. As far as the thing is, so a friend of yours, if I understand correct, I'm not sure if John is still here, but when your friend came, I guess he came to your studio, mixed the song on your studio monitors, and so that could explain why the song sounded a bit too bright.
Yeah.
Because if he didn't get the same brightness that he's used to in his own studio with his own monitors, he was probably trying to compensate, by adding more brightness. I don't know, and that's the way it ended up sounded like. But this is something, when working with new monitors or another type of monitor, you just need to reference a lot to make sure you can know how they sound like on productions you've worked on before or productions you know a lot about, So that is one key point. Now, to answer your question about you buying a pair of Adam 8 THV, which are good monitors, I reviewed them on my channel a month ago. They are a very nice two-way pair of monitors. The brightness sound like the highs of the monitors. They sound very sweet and pretty good. Good low end also. It's going to be an improvement for sure compared to what you already have in your studio. I'm not going to lie to you. They are going to sound better. But again, it's always a matter of knowing the boxes you mix in and also the room that you're in. That plays a huge influence on how your music is going to translate in your studio monitors. So the room is going to be a big factor. I'm pretty sure Chaz agrees with me when it comes to room acoustics.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, well, bottom line, if you can't trust what you're hearing through your headphones or your room or your speakers, then you can never make the right choices, right? So you have to be able to trust what you're hearing, and that means you have to get headphones or speakers and room treatment that works for you, and you have to give your brain a little bit of time to kind of get used to it if you're switching to new speakers or new headphones. So that's where things like SonarWorks and similar products can help kind of smooth out problems in your room or perhaps problems in your speakers or headphones. So the first step really is, just to get some gear, some headphones or speakers that you like in a treated room and get used to it, right? And if you can afford SonarWorks or something like it, another option is if you can download like the free Room EQ Wizard software. It's called REW. You can put up a mic and see what the frequency response of your room is. And then you can always build your own kind of fake SonarWorks with an EQ, like in Control Room in Cubase, or on your master output in like Reaper or Pro Tools or something, where you can basically EQ your outputs to the speakers to compensate for your room and any problems your speakers have. So that's getting kind of complicated, but just get some good speakers or some good headphones, get used to them.
Yeah, I reference a lot with them, even with SonarWorks, as I do work with SonarWorks also for my focals. I don't use them with my headphones, but with my focals, I do use them. I already have a good treated room, and this is only for fine-tuning that I'm using SonarWorks. But even then, I always when I listen to my speakers, I'm always going to listen to music through SonarWorks. Always. So I make sure I reference them well. I know a lot of good references also, even if you... Because the thing with SonarWorks, it's amazing. You use it as a plugin in Cubase. You insert that straight on the control room. That is the best place to insert the plugin. But also use it on your computer, because you can install it as a driver straight on your computer and activate that. So just get used to listen to music out of your computer, where you have your monitors plugged in through SonarWorks all the time. So this is the only way you can listen to music from your computer. So that's the best way to work with SonarWorks, in my opinion.
Yep.
Then we have just to come back from Indiana Bones. I'm learning all the time. I love it. I done Chris's course on Cubase, and then his mixing course, and the last 2 years have learned so much. Thank you, Chris. You are welcome. John is replying, sounds backwards from what I thought. Good news. So perfect. And then we have Andy again saying, thank you, Chris and Chaz, for passing along your experience and knowledge. It is helpful. My question is, where can we buy your ears? That's a good question. They're not on sale.
It's not the ears. I mean, we always talk about our ears. It's really not the ears. It's your brain, right? It's training your brain.
It's training, yeah.
It's training your brain to just hear things. Sarah Carter, who has a YouTube channel, just did a really long video on teaching people compression, because so many people want to learn the 2-minute trick. How do I compress a kick drum or this or that? But you need to especially when you're first starting, you need to train your ear or brain. I'm sorry, I just did it. You need to train your brain to hear or to interpret what your ears are hearing. So understanding how compression works or EQ works and all those things. And it's like learning any skill. It's like learning how to type or learning how to play piano or guitar, right?
Exactly.
It's like learning any skill. It takes a little time for your brain to build up that dexterity. So, my ears, I just had my birthday yesterday. I'm almost as old as Rick Beato kind of thing,
35 years old, man.
Yeah, 35.
That's awesome.
So, but I did get my hearing tested. My hearing's really good for my age, which is amazing. But it's not my ears though, right? And again, if you have these, if you have these older producers and engineer guys like, Al Schmidt before he passed, and these other, guys and gals who are still doing amazing work into their 70s, 80s, and 90s, that they probably can't hear anything over 12K anymore, right? Maybe 13K, but their brain knows what's going on, and they might be able to look at a VU meter or look at something on a computer screen and tell, but it's really up here that helps. That it's not your ears, it's up here. So you don't want my ears, they're messy. So
that is actually good. Since we're in topic, there's a question on the website from Stefan.
Cool.
Saying, hi, Chris. I realized over the years that the reason why I like certain songs a lot is their atmosphere due to the ambience and special effects. I would like to recreate these kind of sounds in my own mixes. Is there a way to train hearing, reverb, delay settings to recognize what kind of processing or combination of effects are used? That's a very good question.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, it's the same thing with compression, like trying to hear compression, trying to hear effects, like especially like reverbs and delay, and when they are combined together. Of course, it's hard to hear everything, but you can train yourself to be able to at least get a very good idea on what kind of effect is played, or the way the vocal in the recording is reacting to that effect. Are they using it like for a reverb, or sometimes you're going to hear that on a production, a very long tail, long reverb in the background, but the vocal is up front. So now this has something to do a bit more than just the reverb used, but it's that, and also the kind of parameters you get, pre-delay, or maybe a sidechain compressor on the reverb, stuff like that. To train yourself to hear that is to pop on different types of reverbs on a vocal in your DAW and Cubase, and just try to figure out how they sound like. Try with a regular algorithmic reverb that you have in your DAW. Try with different types of reverbs within that plugin. Then try a plate reverb if you have access to a real plate reverb. Check all the characteristics, how they sound like, compared to a traditional algorithmic stock plugin reverb. Same for a spring reverb, or a hall or room. Try to check what is the difference between a plate compared to a room. How do your vocals sounds like, or your guitar, whatever you work with, sound with like a plate or a room. Same for a snare drum and stuff like that. And then the tail size. And there's a lot of experiment to do when you want to learn about a specific type of effect. Same for a delay.
Yep. You know what my thought is I've spent a lot of my life trying to intellectually reverse engineer what sounds other people have made, and it can get really difficult and complicated, especially as in the question, the person is into ambient music or atmospheric musics, right? So if you're trying to, let's say, reverse engineer what Vangelis did for the Blade Runner soundtrack, right? Or something Hans Zimmer has done with those big, huge sounds, right? Reverse engineering that can be very, very difficult. There's my wife bringing me a cafe.
Look at you.
Merci. So reverse engineering, what I found helps if you play keyboards or guitar, or you have some virtual instruments in your DAW. What you can do is just make a sound with it, and then pump that sound through different echoes and different reverbs and see what they do. And a lot of these sounds are made from putting an echo into a reverb, then going through an EQ or a filter, right? So it's hard sometimes to like reverse engineer, even when you've been doing it for a while, because you're like, oh, they stuck a chorus in probably, or a flanger, or this or that or whatever. And the best way to kind of get the feel of it is like experiment and play when you have some free time. Because I remember like the first time I heard The Edge from U2 when he played, I'm like, oh, he's got like he's either playing really fast or that's an echo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he had like that dotted eighth note thing he did or whatever
Exactly,
it was, right? So, which was kind of like what a lot of reggae stuff had, like those dotted echoes too, but he did it differently, where he made it like an extension of himself. But to like the first time you hear it and you try to reverse engineer it, it's like, oh, what's going on there, right? So if you experiment and tinker and play a little bit, it'll help you kind of get close or duplicate what other people have done. But I think what the most important part about this is instead of trying to sound like The Edge or Vangelis or Hans Zimmer, as you go through this exercise of trying to figure out what they did, you're going to discover things that maybe nobody else has done. And you're going to, so your inspiration from these other artists is going to take you places as you're learning about them that maybe nobody else has gone to. And that's really like the most important part right there is come up with your own sound and your own voice, right? Like we don't need 20,000 Hans Zimmers or, or Vangelis's or whatever. It's already been done. So take inspiration from it. It's like, do I need to sound like Jimi Hendrix when I play guitar? No, but am I inspired by it? Yeah. And there's so many people who like try to copy other people. It just gets so use that inspiration as a starting point for your own artistic journey. If that makes any sense.
It does. Definitely, totally agree. By the way,
sorry, that was long-winded.
Chaz, what is your website, please?
Oh, my mon Dieu. Okay, my studio website, which needs an update, it's www.electricowlworks.com. And I don't have a way to type on here, but it's electricowlworks.com. If you're looking for me on Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube, it's just EOW Audio.
I'll leave, send all of these over. I'll add them to the comment section.
Okay. Well, actually, video. I can go into the comment section to add it myself too, right?
There you go.
I don't need to make, I don't need to make more work for you, Chris.
So. Awesome. Sorel, question for did you try to send me a song? I'm not sure if pretty sure that's you, but just confirm with me because the song, if that was you, the song you sent me was empty, was nothing on the track. So just so you know, I sent you an email earlier today. So did you get my email earlier today? Because so that was the situation. So that's why I did not play your song yet, because what I got was empty. Oh, so I guess you didn't.
I'm reading.
Okay. So I guess you didn't get my email. I sent you an email at 10 a.m. my time. So check it out. Okay, I have some comments here that I want to check here. We've been on for 2 hours.
Really?
Man, it's almost like a Joe Rogan podcast.
And it's all my fault. It's all my fault for not knowing when to shut
when we have someone. No, that's good. I like that. I love the fact that it was a last minute thing. Me and Chaz actually met in Nashville 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2019.
And we've been, in touch since. And same for our wives. Also, my wife was with me, and your wife, Julie, was there too.
Yeah, we're talking about our kids and everything, and
yeah.
We met at Reed Shippin's studio. I think.
Yes,
it was, right?
Exactly. That was a nice. Was that the time where they were recording a live band?
Yes.
Was it like a bluegrass type of music and recorded straight on vinyl?
On vinyl.
Vinyl.
Yep.
Vinyl. There you go.
Yep.
Vinyl. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, because
cool.
Reed's studio partner is the mastering guy over there.
Exactly.
And they were recording live to vinyl, and it was really cool.
That was nice. So, Indiana Bones 007, got to keep practicing mixing. More you do it, the better you will get, that's for sure. I started doing sound gym to learn EQ differences and found it really helpful.
Yeah.
Funny enough, they actually reached out earlier this week. And we're exchanging emails right now, so I'm gonna try that out. I heard a lot of good things, so maybe do a partnership or something with them. So that's it looks like a very, very cool tool.
Yeah.
All right, so compression I found the hardest bit to learn, but starting to hear the difference now and when I've went too far, but still a lot to learn. Compression is not easy.
No.
But I would say, I made a video on that maybe a year ago, how to hear compression. And let me check. Yeah, so I'm going to try to link that video in the comment section. But
Cool.
It's not easy, but it takes practice. And it's mainly, I would say, about the attack and release.
Yep.
If you can manage that, you're going to get a long way.
Yep, and it was harder back in the day when I was a kid.
Exactly.
Back in the last century when I was a kid, I remember buying a rack mount compressor because I was doing like 4-track and 8-track sessions, and I needed a compressor, and the compressors back then, and still now, an analog compressor, they don't have like a graphical interface like FabFilter or something. So you had to use your ears. You saw there was like a little LED or something that would tell you like how much gain reduction was happening. But as far as the attack and release and threshold, you had to use your ears because the numbers printed on the front might not always be lined up with the dial, right? So
exactly.
Right. So you had to use your ears. So it was even harder back in the day to like wrap your head around it. But it basically, a compressor changes the waveform and messes with space-time in an interesting way. It's what it really does. It can alter the waveform, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So you can cut down the beginning, make the end bloom, or do the opposite. And it just, and the other thing, like I was talking about with the person interested in ambient music and atmospheric music, just experiment. Like just put a kick drum sample or a snare drum sample in your DAW and just put your DAW like in loop mode and just, loop it for like one measure so you can just play different settings and hear it. And eventually it, like your brain, and again, it's not your ears, it's your brain needs to learn this stuff, right? And eventually you're going to be like, oh, I hear it. And you're going to be like, oh my God, I hear it. I get it now. And you'll be so happy. It'll be like this eureka moment, which is amazing when they happen. So,
Sorel, I'm going to get back to you, Sorel. Are you planning on sending the song today, or because we're going to wrap up soon, or we're going to have to wait until the next time we have a stream? She's in Australia. Okay, so yeah, so it's probably very early in the morning. What time is it at your place, Sorel? I'm curious. Now we have. Sean, yes, agree. A great idea to invite guests to the live stream. Nice way to expand on topics, offer additional ideas, suggestions, and counterpoint. I like doing that. Yeah, I love.
Thank you.
Talking to people. I'm very grateful, that you decided to accept my invitation. So it's 8 a.m. now.
Wow.
In some part of Australia where Sorel lives. Australia. I've been awake for us since 5:30 a.m. for this one. Yeah, so I would love to
it's 8
listen
a.m.
to your song. So hopefully your song is going to cross the ocean before we finish this live. Sydney, Australia. There you go.
It's got to go through the satellites.
Exactly. Sydney, Australia. Okay, so
very cool.
Hopefully you guys are still enjoying the stream, even if we've been on for a long time. Are you good, Chaz?
Yeah, I'm fine. Actually, I'm just
because it's Thanksgiving. You probably have like a bunch of people at your place right now.
Actually, because of work schedules and things like that, we're doing our United States Thanksgiving this Sunday.
Okay.
At our daughter's place, about 10 minutes from us. So I'm probably just eating leftover pizza from yesterday. I'm drinking coffee now. So, yeah. So, and actually, I'm waiting. I was supposed to get a call from Matt Boudreau. So,
yeah, our mutual friend.
Yes,
Matt.
Yep. Actually, I think you introduced me to Matt, right?
I did. I think I did.
It was it was you or Liz.
Maybe Liz.
It was you.
Okay.
And that was at Reed's too. In Nashville.
Was it? Yeah, because he was there. Matt was there last time.
Yep. Because actually, I think you said, you should talk to him about. Oh, I know somebody who went to mix with the Masters in France, so you should talk to him. Oh, who's that?
Take it easy, Tony.
Oh, Tony.
Thanks for being here. It was cool.
Take care.
Yeah, it was at same place. You're right.
It was Robot Lemon.
You're right. Because Matt was there the both time I was at Summer NAMM. That was a great event.
Yep.
Oh, Sorel, I'm exporting it right now. Okay, we'll wait. We can wait for Suzanne.
Yep. Well,
you guys want to wait for one last mix to listen to?
I'm good.
You're good? All right. I'm good
yeah.
also.
Should put-
She's like, look at it. After hearing comments, I think I should remix.
Oh, stop. Just go with it.
Oh, man.
If anything, that's the thing. It's like you need to establish a baseline. So a baseline rough mix, right? Or a baseline this or baseline that.
Yeah.
And so establish a baseline, and I'm going to work from this point going forward. So, yeah.
Okay, but while we wait, I want to share a bad experience that just happened to me a few days ago. Okay, I'm going to be very transparent here.
Hi. Sorry.
No problem. Yeah, I'm going to be very transparent here. I don't know if you heard this, Chaz, but I'm going to share like a kind of a bad experience that just happened to me.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's in relation to my single that was supposed to be released this week. And the thing is, I mixed a lot of music for clients. This is mostly what I do. And but when it's time to mix my own music, this is where it's hard not to let go.
Yes.
Or just you just go too far. And this is exactly what happened. I made a video about that song. It's part of the MCC community, where I shared with you my mixing session and stuff. And from that point, I bounced the mix, and I afterwards, before sending it to mastering, went back to the mix, changed a few things again, and went on, sent it to the mastering engineer, came back, I tweaked a few things, and then sent stuff like that, which I always advise not to do, and I did it. And when I was about to release it on Spotify and so on, after a few weeks of not listening to the song, which I even did before, but anyways, I was listening to the song, was like, my kick drum sounds like it just had a flat tire, and I didn't like what I was hearing for that one element, which is the kick drum, but so it's something I did by making some touch-ups that I should have not done, actually, so that actually messed everything around, and so I had to just remove it right away before starting to advertise it. And yeah, so I'm gonna have to go back into session, just tweak a minor thing, and then release it. But I was just, that was a bit.
It happens.
It's funny how that almost never happens when I work with a client.
Yeah.
But for your own music, I don't know if it's the pressure or I don't know, it's your own craft. I'm not sure, but I always make my clients happy. And I don't know. Hey, I'm human, so
it's tough.
Shit happens to me too. Okay, so Sorel, I can't find your email. Send it to chris@mixdownacademy.com. Okay. I'm gonna write it down here.
Coffee.
Okay, send it there. I should get it. You're using WeTransfer, I guess? Okay, let's check what else do we have here. John is adding up okay, while we have time, should I be looking to develop individual instrument tones or overhaul bus type EQ? No, I would start by individual tracks. This is where I would start. If your drum, like in your case, we're saying that the drums were, because I'm pretty sure the problems were on the instrument itself.
Yeah, I'd start there too, because sometimes top-down mixing works well if you're mixing into it, but it only works well if everything going into it makes sense. So if you have problems with individual tracks or things and you're trying to correct that on the mix bus, it generally just messes everything up.
You can use the mix bus to identify,
yes,
that you can
but
do. You can actually go straight on your song, pop on an EQ, boost a bit of mids or bottom end, and tame down a bit of highs, whatever. Check the tone, and okay, so you know where to look for. But I would definitely go down and fix that from the source.
Yeah, well, one trick I learned from Michael Brower, and I'm not going to suggest that everybody try his crazy multi-bus technique, where he has a separate bus for the drums and guitars and keyboards and everything. But one part of that actually works a lot is if you put compression on all those separate buses and then put your tracks into those buses for the drums, the bass, guitars, keyboards, vocals, all that stuff, right? If something's too loud or EQ'd wrong, you'll hear it because it'll impact that compressor in a way where it's like, oh, those drums sound terrible. It's like, well, why do those drums sound terrible? Oh, they got too much low end, or the snare's too bright, right? Or if you have, so there's different techniques you can do. Even if you have like subgroups in your DAW, you could put a compressor in there just to listen. Set it so there's like, set it so like at a minus 18 dB 1K test tone, you got 1 dB of gain reduction, and then just run your stuff through it. And if you hear like crazy things happening, that it's like the EQ, and lots of times it's the low end is what hits the the low end is like really difficult. But anyway, there's like all different kinds of things you can experiment with. But yeah, start at the source, at the tracks. And if you get your EQ and balance right there, your mix bus is just going to sound that much better.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you do on your mix bus? Because on my side, talking about the mix bus. Because on my side, I don't do top-down mixing, but I do work on the mix bus first when I have a balanced mix. But I do mix into a compressor. That I have my SSL type compressor, the Tegler Creme.
I mix the same one I've got.
But I don't even touch it. It has the same parameters and it stays there.
Yep,
and I just mix into it.
It's the same thing I've got. If I'm doing a mix where it's going out on the mix bus, I will do the Tegler Creme just like you. And I usually, the EQ settings, I usually leave the same. And the compression setting, I might change depending on the song a little bit, right? So some songs you might want it different. But if I'm mixing totally in the box, I use the Townhouse compressor, the BX Townhouse, which is kind of like a modified SSL.
Sure.
And what I like about that is it has the side chain, so you can tell the compressor not to kick in and ignore the low end frequencies.
Yep.
Like you can do on the Tegler Creme. So I usually set that to like 120 or 140. So my mix bus compressor isn't reacting to low frequency stuff. Usually it's around 120, 140.
That's cool.
And then a Pultec or a Pultec or a FabFilter Pro Q3 after that. And they just usually stay on there and I don't touch them.
That's okay, Sorel.
Yeah.
If it's MP3, you can even send it straight by email.
Yeah, actually, it's probably small enough. Yeah, if it's like a 3 to 5 minute song, it should get through email.
So my email is open. So let me know when it's sent. Yeah, so I have a lot of stuff on my mix bus. Some stuff I don't use much. It's mainly I bypass everything when I start, and as I go, I just activate this one, and most of them are not doing a lot. Some are only for color.
Yeah. Yep. Sometimes I'll. Oh, go ahead.
No. I'm done. Go ahead.
No. I was going to say sometimes I like going through a Fairchild style compressor.
Yeah.
With nothing happening. Like it's not really compressing, but even with a a Fairchild like plug-in, you put it through there without compressing at all, it sounds different.
Exactly. Yeah, no,
It's
you're
a
right.
tube emulation. It's like, wow, it sounds kind of more like a record now, So, using them as little flavors and tastes of sound without really using them for compression or EQ or whatever can be really cool.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of plugins like that, that has a tone,
Yeah.
especially vintage type plugins.
Yeah.
Okay, she's saying that it's already there, but I don't see it. It's not here yet. You're in Australia, so now it's probably near France. I don't know.
It's
coming. It's coming over.
It's going through the satellite ring.
Oh, still not here. Spam folder is empty. Now you use the chris@mixdownacademy.com. Is that the one you
Oh, that coffee's so good.
you sent it to? Oh, I think I got something. There you go. There you go. Okay, I'm downloading it.
Awesome.
All right. Okay. While I'm setting that up.
Setting up a new track.
Oh, you know what? Let's do it right. I'm going to do it with you guys. Let me just bring Cubase on.
It's a learning opportunity.
There you go. How to import a track.
There you go.
A song in a session. There you go. I'm going to go with... that's the one. Lifeboats. And let's listen to your song, Suzanne. Let's do it.
Whoa.
Your mirror
Nice. Okay, I got my mic back. Cool track. Man, okay. Man, love the vibe, you know. It makes me think of a lot of different bands, especially back end of the 80s. Cool drums. Cool drums are are weak point in my headphones. What you use? Okay, what are you using for drums? Yeah, we'll get to that. So very good song. Okay, very cool, very nice performance. Good voice. Love the vibe. You nailed it on that vibe, that sound. Even the balance with the lead vocal and the harmony right on there is like super well balanced. So that is actually very cool. Drums were those were real drums, if I'm not mistaken. Superior drummer. Eh? They sounded pretty real. That's funny. I was like, okay, that sounds a bit like program drums, and that sounds like a guy playing. So
Yeah.
it was confusing a bit, you know, which is good in a way because if you so. Yeah, did you question about Superior Drummer? Did you base yourself on some predefined grooves that came with? Oh, my brother is there. You go. That explains it. My brother is drumming on a TD-12. Okay, so you have a real drummer playing Superior Drummer samples. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
So the word tight comes to mind. Good job. There was only one, like, talking about performance for drums, there was that one part, it's mainly the verses. Let me try to find one verse here. Yeah, there's some kick hits that are not super tight in the verse. The rest was good. I'm very like, this is if I'm getting drummer picky. There was like very like tiny issues, not on the whole verse, but on some areas, which wasn't locking that much. But that's it as far as the performance goes. The rest was pretty much tight. Okay, then I would say as far as it's the same type of thing as the other tracks, where lacking a bit of body and low frequencies around the mix in general, like for it, like as far as the drum goes, the bass and stuff. There's something lacking here. Everything's a bit high, you know. As far as the general sound goes, this is something that would actually work, especially on the drums. I think if you can get that drum sound a bit more fat, just a bit, not too much, because it's a faster song, so you don't want to get that deep snare sound, but it's not what I'm saying, but just to bring a bit more fatness and a bit more body on the drum sound in general, I think that could help the full mix. Sometimes it doesn't need, it's not all the instruments that would need to be beefed up, I would say, but maybe one, especially drum and bass, which are the kind of bass instruments, for especially the kick. Kick and bass are the foundation of a song in a mix, especially even that type of music, not rock music, even if it's because I know that back in the days in this genre of music, mixes sounded a bit more bright, a bit less bottomy,
They were mixing for vinyl.
Yeah, exactly. Even when the CD came out, end of the 80s and stuff, it was like cassette tapes and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
mixes were a bit more thin back then compared to what we have now.
Yep. Yep.
But I would say, yeah, this is my take on it. Performance-wise, it's good. And same for the vocals. Maybe the vocals sounded a bit too high mid for me, for my taste. What say you, Mr. Chaz?
What say I? Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement. The one thing when you're working on any song, not just this one, is I would try to keep in mind what is the top line of the song, what is the main focus of the song. So the lead vocal melody? Is it a saxophone solo, guitar solo? Right? There's sort of a top line thing, which is the focus of what the audience is listening to. And in this song, when it went into that guitar solo part where it started like I kind of panned and echo, really cool sound, it's like the vocal ended and then it went into that little guitar solo part. And I was like sitting here looking at my control surface, wanting to grab the fader on that guitar and do an Eddie Kramer like a Hendrix record, just push that guitar up. So just like that top line, because once the vocal goes away, it's just all those rhythm tracks, but you hear that little tease of the guitar solo starting, and then it's just like, it's coming. And I just wanted more of it, right? Because it was like a really cool part. And you had a couple little guitar things going on there that were amazing. Yeah. But I would have just considered that top line, like give your audience something to hear and listen to and grab onto, because that guitar playing in there was super tasty. It was super good. It was like, you know what I mean? So, that the stuff Chris was saying about the low end, I think the song would have more punch and fullness if you can find a way to identify the frequency ranges. Like, let's say your kick drum, right? If you can get like the 50 to 70 hertz or 40 to 60 hertz area of the kick drum really solid, and then build on top of that with your bass from, let's say, 80 to 100. And then after that, you're getting into the territory of your six strings, really the low end of your six string tracks in the 100 area. And the body of the snare drum usually lives in, 100 to 150, usually 125. So if you can identify those areas, that body in the lows and the low mids, right? This song will just like grab you, by the collars and boom, 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 right?
Yeah, because the snap of the snare is actually pretty good.
It's super nice.
Perfectly. It's nice.
Super nice. So that relationship between the kick drum, the bass guitar, and the low end of like the snare body and the rhythm tracks, if those can get kind of made more solid, this song will literally just grab you and pull you, because it already does. So these are just little fine tuning points. So
yeah.
Oh man, it's super good.
Exactly. And there's that thing, I think it was in the, let me check here. Trying to find a place where I heard that was like a cymbal.
Oh yeah.
Bring it down.
Yeah.
That on the verse.
That's a little loud there.
Yeah, a little.
It's a little loud. I was going to say it's a little loud and obviously a sample, so you might want to, take that down a bit. But
exactly. But I love this part here.
Right there. Yep. That part right there was kind of another note that I had when you change to that next chord and the bass the bass guitar gets huge, but the note before that, it's like you're playing higher up or something on the bass and you don't hear it. And that's something else that kind of ties into what I was saying about finding a way to make the kick and bass, because bass guitars are notorious for the volume goes up and down and all over the place when you're playing different parts on the neck. Right? And getting that bass to stay balanced and full through a whole song can be really difficult. You can do compression, automations, split the tracks, all those tricks we talked about. But right there where you switch chords and the bass just kind of comes in, because when you have a full bass, it makes the guitars sound that much bigger too, because it's like the bottom end foundation.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And the interesting thing about bass and why it's so important is that it's really the sort of glue between the drums and everything else, right? So it's kind of taking that percussive rhythmic thing of the drums and percussion and putting kind of like a little bit of a melody and harmony to it or whatever, and it glues into the rest of the instrument. So when you can get like the bass locked in tone wise, but right at that one transition, that's why I started like shaking my hands.
Let's listen to it again.
Yeah, we're it's really thin. So yeah, there's parts where, and you can automate that too. So, right, you can automate your bass and just make the parts that are a little quieter pop in more. But man, really good song. Really,
Yeah, I
super
love
nice
the
work.
halftime. At some point, you do
Yeah.
a live halftime.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Love that.
Nice.
Hey, good track. Good
Yeah.
track. If you have a remix at some point, let us know.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think we're going to wrap this one up. We've been on for more than 2.5 hours.
Wow. Sorry,
Time
everybody.
flies, my friend. Time flies. So,
I don't know when to be quiet.
same here. So, so thanks again, everyone. It was fun being here with you. Chaz, I did not expect you to stay the whole time, but you did.
Well, and you didn't
which
kick me off, so
I didn't, because I enjoyed it.
thank you, sir.
It was fun. It's not something I'm going to do all the time, but I love doing that. I love having guests and interacting with people, and I think pretty much everyone here enjoyed that part also. So, and it gives me a break also, without having to talk the whole time.
Fair enough.
But I still love talking, but it's fun to interact with someone else. Also, guys, thank you very much for attending this live session. Keep your eyes on your emails because I'm having a Black Friday sale. So if you don't have one of my 2 courses, you can check them out on your next email, or just go on my website. And the sale goes on until Saturday. So 45% off, I think, something like that. So check it out. And peace. Take care. See you soon, guys.
Bye, everyone. And thank you,
Bye-bye.
Chris.